Commissioner Davis.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we pause today to give you praise and thanks for the opportunity to serve, Lord. And as we come to this table, we pray for continued renewal of Kathy, and we appreciate your movement in her life and her recovery, but Lord, we know there's still long roads ahead, so we pray that you have your way in her recovery and keep your hands on her and her family as they travel. As we come to this table, we just pray for your wisdom and guidance to do what's right for everyone we serve here in the county. We give you all the praise and glory in your holy name. Amen. All right. Welcome to May 15th. School's just about out. So let's get rolling. I don't know what I was going to say there, clearly, right?
Yeah.
My thought just stopped.
It's all good.
It's all right, whatever. Item 1, approving the minutes for May 18th, 2025.
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve.
I will vacate the chair and second.
Mr. Davis
Aye.
and Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of request for appropriation of funds.
Any comments or questions, item 2? Hearing none.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of request for appropriation transfer of funds.
Any comments or questions on our transfer of funds? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of request for transfer of funds.
Comments or questions, item 4? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of approving payment of the regular schedule of accounts for the various funds, moral obligations, and the then and now certificates in the total amount of $395,772.93.
Any comments or questions on the docket? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of accepting miscellaneous reports.
Any comments or questions on our miscellaneous reports? Hearing none.
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of invitation to bid regarding Clerk of Courts Legal Department.
This is an invitation to bid from Randy Mullins, our architect, for the Clerk of Courts Legal Department. We know the Title Department went through a renovation last year and was completed. This is a notice for sealed bids to be received by the Office of Scioto County Commissioners at our address, 602 7th Street, room 310, until 10:20 a.m. on Thursday, June 12th. This is for the remodel within the legal department of Kathy Schupert's department. The commissioners set aside, was it $50,000 of ARPA funds?
Yes, sir.
And the remaining balance will be covered by the clerk of court's budget. This is roughly a $350,000?
That's what I saw on the architect's.
$350,000 estimate for a build out and some remodeling. So if you're interested, the invitation to bid will be out. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of environmental review for activity regarding PMHA Hudson House repairs.
So Mr. Greg Sparks states that the Hudson House is in desperate need of upgrading their motor and hydraulic pump for one of their elevators. The repair will keep PMHA in compliance with the state of Ohio and return this elevator back in operations. The estimated total HUD funded amount is $25,000. Any comments or questions? Hearing none.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of congratulating Christopher T. Allen on his retirement from Scioto County Department of Jobs and Family Services.
This is a second in a long line of resolutions we've been doing for people having a ton of experience within the organization. Christopher T. Allen is going to be retiring on May 31st with over 25 years of public service to the agency. So we'll be presenting this resolution to them during his retirement event. But he has been a member of the Willersburg Methodist Church for over 60 years, one of their chairman and past board of directors. retired 20 years of service, Porter Township Fire Department with the rank of captain, and I'm sure he's going to be spending time with his lovely wife, Lisa, for 42 years. Wow. Daughters Julia, Sarah, and Rachel, and of course all of their grandchildren. So congratulations, Chris. I know he plans to spend a lot of time with the grandkids at sporting events and anything else that kind of comes along their way, and is going to start looking for possible volunteer opportunities. So just because he's retiring from the agency doesn't mean he's not going to stop giving back to the community, and so appreciate all of his years of service. Any additional comments or questions?
No, we appreciate Chris for all of his many years of service to Scioto County. He will be sorely missed, and Tammy's got her work cut out for her to find a replacement, and we wish him well.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of notification from the Ohio Department of Taxation regarding permissive sales tax.
All right, permissive sales tax for February 2025, sales local $772,595 and 54 cents, sales actual $386,234.55, total $1,158,830 and 9 cents. Thankfully, this is an increase of $73,398.01. That is more than February of 24. So this is the second month trending upward, something we still continue to watch, but it is it's welcome news. Any additional comments or questions? All right, with that,
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of resolution for nominations for the local emergency planning committee to the State Emergency Response Commission regarding Scioto County EMA.
This is a resolution requesting to allow Scioto County Local Emergency Planning Committee, which establishes the roles, procedures, and inter-organizational relationships under which county officials, department heads, and private organizations shall operate in the event of any incident which is supported by standard operating procedures and address specific concepts. The term shall be in place August 1, 25 through August 1 of 27. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, the press would like to see a copy of who all's on that. They can request a copy, but it's just about everybody that holds a role in any emergency response capacity throughout the county. So it's a long list. It would take like 5 minutes, not quite that long, but take a while to read off. So you can get that if you would like to get a copy. All right. And with that, I would make a motion to adopt.
All right, I'll second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of letters of support to U.S. Senate John Husted, Bernie Marino, and House Representative David Taylor regarding Older Americans Act.
So we had representatives for Area Agency on Aging in office last week in recognition of Older Americans Month, and they did ask us for some letters of support. These are letters of support to U.S. Senator Bernie Marino, U.S. Senator John Husted, and House Representative Dave Taylor regarding the current President's draft fiscal year 26 budget. It includes the Older Americans Act, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and the Administration of Children and Families. The budget draft also outlined plans to zero out many of these critical aging programs that support our older Americans. And so we are asking that to be reviewed and to be reversed. These are critical services that are provided to our older Americans, so that is basically the content of our letters going to our federal representatives. Any additional comments or questions?
No, I really hope that they'll, well, not reconsider, but consider to insert, because, I mean, what we're being handed a budget without.
Yeah.
So the idea is for Congress to reauthorize the Older Americans Act, and if there is any issues with it, then whatever those amendments look like, but we definitely need that for our area, passport, et cetera. There's all kinds of programs that would be affected. This happens every time a budget comes out, and there's this dance to see who's going to insert, and I don't know what that's all about. But anyways, yeah, definitely support that. Our area definitely needs that representation. So with that, I make a motion to approve, and on the letters, check the title for Congressman Taylor. That Senator Taylor right now, he would probably be really happy to hear.
Oh, yeah, he just got
Graduated
promoted.
as a senator now, but on the letter, revise it, and then we'll re-sign it. But it's, yeah, it needs to be Representative Taylor. It's just a typo. So
Perfect.
my mind just works that way. I see that stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay. So anyways,
You made the motion?
I did.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of partnership agreement between Scioto County and the City of Portsmouth for the application and administration of the fiscal year 2025 Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program, CHIP.
So this is a continued agreement that we've had in place now for several years,
City of Portsmouth, 5?
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
So we administer the CHIP program, and both communities kind of pull their money together to be administered through this office. Any additional comments or questions on this?
Yeah, I really appreciate Portsmouth working with us on this, because if we don't jointly apply, the chances of us getting the grant are very slim. That was something that they came out with several years ago to assure cooperation between governments, and it's, by all means, it's the rightful thing to do. So it's worked well for us. Our office bears most of the burden on that. We readily accept that, but the fact that we can get $750,000 and help a whole lot of people remodel their homes, rebuild their homes, add much needed facilities at their homes that are needed to keep them in their homes. This is for owner occupied housing, and without it, I can only, well, I know our staff sees a lot of faces, and if it wasn't for this money, those faces, some of them would be in subsidized housing. They would be maybe some of them homeless even. So without this funding, and it's been millions and millions and millions spent in recent years, with the last decade for sure, that has kept people in their homes and provided for them a good resource to remodel without, especially with the cost. The cost nowadays is very expensive. People just can't do with any income that they would have extra, if they would even have extra, because many people are on fixed incomes. So we're able to do that and help people. And you think about those people, you know, you see their faces, and then every time we satisfy a CHIP mortgage or something like that, that always makes me feel really warm about it, because you know that somebody on the other end of that has benefited greatly from this program, and it keeps our housing stocks from being depleted further, which is a very big issue right now. So, I'm really a major supporter of this program. I know you are too, and all of us as a whole, and I'm glad that we can do this again. So I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, I'll second.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of authorizing the commissioners to enter into a partnership with the City of Portsmouth for 2025 Community Housing Impact and Preservation CHIP program, and authorizing the submission of a fiscal year 2025 Community Housing Impact and Preservation CHIP program application with the State of Ohio on behalf of Scioto County.
So this is basically phase 2 of the first item 13. We have to have an agreement and a resolution. So this is the resolution portion of this agreement. Any comments or questions?
No.
All right, great.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of approving Scioto County Sheriff's Office awarded reimbursement grant regarding 2025 BW LEC 4033 Sheriff's Office body worn cameras.
Scioto County Sheriff's Office is awarded a reimbursement grant in the amount of $27,300 from Ohio Department of Safety, the Office of Criminal Justice. This funding is to purchase software, licenses, and equipment to be compliant with the body-worn camera. This grant does not require a match. It's always great to see, and we appreciate Laura Davis. I know she works very hard on the many grants that she brings into the Sheriff's Office. So great work there in getting this additional resources to our men and women on the front line. Any additional comments or questions?
No. Appreciate all their hard work, and make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of authorizing the clerk to advertise for dog warden position regarding Scioto County Dog Pound.
We have an open dog warden position. If you're interested, that will be likely, should we agree to post it, be on our Facebook page, but also possibly on Indeed. Looking at the clerk, maybe. So we'll advertise it throughout. So if you're interested, by all means, drop off a resume here or at the dog pound for consideration. Comments or questions?
Must like dogs. grant?
That helps.
Yeah.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Powell.
Aye.
In the matter of resolution supporting OVRDC, Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission Economic Development District Planning Partnership Investment Grant Program regarding fiscal year 2026.
So this is our local contribution to OVRDC. It's $14,360. They do a fantastic job, not just in this county, but throughout the region. I know Commissioner Davis, you've been more involved with OVRDC in the past. I'm now on that board, but any additional comments or questions?
Other than just to say that our relationship with OVRDC has been great throughout the time that we were one of the original counties that signed on to be with OVRDC years and years way before us ago. And the amount of support and work that we've done together regarding economic development, community development, the advocacy that is done at the state and federal level is very important for us and our future in growth. So we really appreciate them coming alongside. They've recently had a change in leadership, of course, with John Hemmings retiring after 1,000,000 years. And I'm kidding. And then with Stephanie Gilbert coming on board, she's doing a great job, I think. And I'm looking forward to many more years serving and working with them. OVRDC is a great organization, and they work for the entire region. And they do a great job for everybody. They really work hard for everybody. So we really appreciate their efforts. And with that, I would make a motion to adopt.
Yep, I'll second.
The resolution.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye. Oh, we have an additional item that we did add. Sorry, Katie. We're throwing you a curveball here.
I'm sorry.
This is a new lesson, so sometimes we add things.
24-hour issue.
This is a letter of support for our schools regarding to House Bill 96. I'm actually going to read the letter. There's been a lot of local school districts very concerned with House Bill 96. So to whom it may concern, the Board of County Commissioners are writing to express our concern regarding the current property tax-related legislative efforts that would have far-reaching negative consequences, not only for our local school districts, but for the overall stability and vitality of our communities. Specifically, we strongly oppose any policy that would automatically lower property taxes as a result of fund balances reaching a certain threshold. Such a policy would undermine the autonomy of local governments and ignore the prudent financial planning that many of our school districts have exercised to prepare for future capital funds, economic uncertainties, and the fluctuations in state funding. A one-size-fits-all approach risks penalizing fiscally responsible districts and could jeopardize the long-term stability of the local education system. However, we are not opposed to transparency and accountability. To that end, we would support legislation that requires the County Budget Commission to conduct an annual review of school district cash balances that exceed 30%. An annual review process would allow for a more nuanced understanding of local financial conditions and provide a more balanced framework for oversight without stripping local school districts of the flexibility they need to serve their communities effectively. Above all, we urge the legislator to uphold the principle of local control, a longstanding value held by rural counties. Local officials are best positioned to understand and address the unique needs of their constituents. Imposing state-level mandates that override local decision-making not only erodes trust, but also disrupts careful balance of government that has long defined Ohio's commitment to home rule and responsible stewardship. We thank you for your efforts in working collaboratively with our local schools and counties to ensure that changes to fiscal policy reflect the voices and expertise of those in those communities. We've been requested by several superintendents, and I know I've seen some concerns also on social media from other school districts regarding this House Bill 96. So this is a letter to be sent to the legislator to hopefully reverse some of this, correct some of this, work collaboratively with the school districts. Commissioner Davis, I'm sure you probably have some comments on this as well.
Yeah, I think one thing I would like to say as a premise to everything I'm about to say is we all know property taxes reform is needed. Yep. It's needed. It's messed up. I mean, it's not sustainable. The old, I think it was 1976, bill that imposed certain standards on how they calculate property tax is not feasible today. There is a lot of work in the legislature to try to figure that out. We know now that there's a petition that's been certified by the Attorney General to get legislation on the ballot to totally eliminate property taxes. And I've seen a lot of people celebrating that, okay? I own a home, I would celebrate that too, okay? I mean, I'm pretty happy. The problem is, and here's the rub, and here's the other side of that, is if you eliminate it here, guarantee it's gonna be somewhere else. In other words, they may increase sales tax. Now, is that a consumption tax, and is that more fair? Because instead of just property owners bearing the burden, then does this now mean that it's not just property owners, but it's everybody? Because sales tax, you buy something, there's a tax, okay? I guess you would call that a consumption tax in a way. But they're gonna have to do something. You can't just do away with it, because here's the problem. There's your school funding, there's your children's services levy, there's your DD levy, there's your fire, EMS levies. All of that goes away because the property tax is where that's all assessed from. So there's got to be common sense legislation, there's got to be common sense changes here that doesn't financially bankrupt entities. So there's a lot of concern. Now I understand why the legislature did this, and this hasn't passed, this bill has not passed yet, but when I see it, what I see is that anytime Columbus puts restrictions on local control, we lose say. We the people goes out the window. Now, not to say that they aren't elected officials in Columbus, but a lot of times that just turns into a bureaucracy. I'm sorry, I'm against that. And we elect our school boards at the local level. For the most part, it's a good thing. And the other thing is if they don't do a good job, you replace them. You can vote them out. A lot of times things, when they happen in Columbus, they get lost in the shuffle, and it just becomes law, or it just becomes a policy, and it never gets revisited, i.e. the current property, the way it's taxed and assessed. It gets lost, 1976 I think it was. So anytime we lose local control, it's a bad thing. Let me just give you an example. Say a school board is saving money. They have a capital budget thing that they want to build a activity center, or they want to add on to the school, or they want to do some capital project, or they're saving to buy 10 school buses, or whatever it might be. Well, then all of a sudden they're flush with cash because they've been fiscally responsible, saving money methodically. Well, then the state of Ohio says, well, you can't have more than 30% of that general fund over, so we're going to lower the property taxes at that point, and you're not going to be able to get above 30%. Well, as a property owner, we say, yahoo, right? But again, the school is being fiscally responsible. They're doing their jobs. They're saving to do that, and they're not being dependent on Columbus. They're not being dependent on some other grant or avenue. They're doing what they should be doing. So on the flip side of that, maybe you have a school district, and I don't know who that might be, but somebody that's not saving money, and they're blowing their money, and they're running in the red and everything else. That doesn't help anybody either. So I believe there needs to be common sense property tax changes. If that means eliminating the property tax altogether, then that's what that means. That's a pay grade above mine in Columbus, okay? But I mean, personally, I think that's a good thing if they're going to pick it up on the other side. That something has to happen somewhere in order for local governments not to suffer and lose all of that funding. I know nobody wants to hear that, but I will say this, it's a much fairer approach if we have a consumption tax or a sales tax and we're spreading it out to everybody and not just property owners. That's the big argument we get on a lot of things. They say, well, wait a minute, why is everybody allowed to vote on raising my taxes? Why is everybody allowed to vote on that when they don't pay property taxes? Which in our area is a high number, actually. There's a number of people that rent or lease or whatever. and they don't pay property taxes. So I hear that all the time, and I agree. Matter of fact, in this country, at one time, you couldn't vote unless you owned property. Now, that was old school. I mean, that was 1800s kind of stuff, okay? But, and I'm not saying that should be what it is, but it seems much fairer. And other states have gone to the no property tax system. Of course, some states have gone to no income tax either. So, and I know the state of Ohio is talking about that. What's that look like? I don't know. But that's why we elect those people to figure that out. But I'm in support of our administrations, our school administrators, our school boards. I think this is just a reach too far. And I appreciate the work that's been done on it, but I don't think you want to lose local control in that way. It's just not healthy long term. So that's my diatribe on it. So sorry, but that's how I feel, and I think we need to support our local schools.
All right. So do you have a motion?
I do.
Great.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Aye. All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda. At this point, we'll open to any questions, items on agenda. Items on. All right, Mr. Scott Leith.
Thank you for allowing us to come here and ask questions. As always, I really appreciate it. So you were discussing the item 12 there, and there was some talk of the Trump administration's skinny budget.
Yeah.
So some of these cuts are considered very aggressive compared to previous budgets, including the previous Trump administration's budget, proportionally. So you have a 44% cut to housing and urban development proposed, and a complete elimination of the community development block program proposed, and that's the starting position in negotiations. Are you concerned about this?
Look, I think anytime, anytime you see zero, it's concern for pause. And I think if you pay attention to this administration, normally you see them start at the worst case scenario, and then you end up seeing it changing. You know, I know we had a discussion with Community Action. Was that last week prior? They started off in a zero for Head Start and a couple of their other winterization and something else. It's not come top of my mind, but now it looks like Head Start's not being mentioned, but the other two are. So it's this moving target that's probably not going to even flesh out until September, but even talking to Steve Sturgill, he said, look, this isn't the first time we've seen this, not just from this administration previously, but either administrations prior, 10, 15 years ago. They just start at zero and then, okay, what's the real number? So I think you're seeing some of that due to the belief that there is abuse, waste, and fraud. And the real question is, well, how much money should be there? I don't know that we're yet to a conversation of whether or not the program should exist. I think probably what they're trying to figure out in DC, and this is just my opinion, not based on anything, just my opinion. Okay, how much money should be there? Like how much waste do we think has been there because some of these budget line items have ballooned the way they have? Do I think a lot of these programs need to exist? Yeah, I mean, we know people in this community that receive benefits from a lot of these programs. So we'll see. Is it concerning? Today, yeah. I mean, if you want to have a knee-jerk reaction, but at the same time, it's a starting point. It's going to change probably 100 times between now and the actual budget that hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned CDBG. We've been recipients of big-time money on CDBG over the years, applying for and being awarded that.
Yep.
I think, and I agree with everything Commissioner Powell said. I think the other part of this is, I hate to say it, but a lot of people like to play the blame game in politics, and the executive branch and the legislative branch, nobody likes to take credit for the increases. So, and it happens in Ohio too. You'll see a budget come from the governor, and then by the time the legislature gets done with it, it goes up. Yeah. So you'll see a skinny bill from the executive branch, and then by the time the legislative branch gets done with it, it's not so skinny, and then it's this, you know, and it's like, well, you know, we've got deficits, it's not my fault, you know. Unfortunately, we've got to a place where we're a debtor nation and we're 36 trillion in debt. At some point, you're gonna pay the piper and you gotta get your house in order. So I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know how long it's gonna get out from underneath that, get out of that hole, but we're gonna have to do something somewhere. Now, in relation to this, I'm not in favor of cutting these programs. I think they're very necessary in our area. Is there streamlining and better ways to do it? I guarantee it, because government, and really, to be honest with you, and having dealt with some of the bureaucracy around these programs, it's multi-layered and it's very difficult sometimes to process things, and it could be much easier. It passes through too many hands. That's what I think. I think you just got to streamline it and make it simpler to move the help. And if you do that, you should see efficiencies and savings. But it's a monster. The federal government is just so ballooned and so big and so inefficient in so many ways that I think that's part of what they're doing, Chairman. I think they're really taking a hard look at how we do things and then try to figure out a way to do it more efficiently and get the money where it's intended to go. It needs to get to the people, and a lot of it gets caught up in the processing and the cost to do that. So that's what I want.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, gentlemen.
Yeah. Any items on agenda? Nothing online? Any items off agenda? No items off agenda? All right.
I have two on.
All right, we have some online. Great.
Scioto County Daily News, it says off the agenda, with the city deciding to not pass the LGBT sanctuary city resolution, what are your thoughts on the situation? Over 200 people showed up to voice their opinions, which is one of the largest crowds gathered at a local government meeting. What would you say to the people who were very upset that the resolution did not pass? Would the county ever consider such a resolution?
There's about 5 questions in there. So first, how do I feel about how it happened? I think City Council did their job and made the vote according to all of the folks they spoke with. I didn't speak with those folks because it was not sitting in front of us. So, and I personally spoke to several members on City Council. I know that they were inundated with phone calls, face-to-face conversations, emails. So, I believe that they voted based on what they felt was right. What was the other parts of that question?
What would you say to the people who were very upset that the resolution did not pass?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I probably have a more nuanced thought to the resolution, and I'll try to articulate it in a way that makes sense. I didn't personally understand the resolution, quite frankly, because it didn't do anything. We had people show up and, I'll feel safe if you do this. I'll feel this if you do this. This will protect. The reality is it didn't. So I guess my concern truly for those constituents is somebody along the line convinced them that, hey, if these, the 6-member body passes this resolution, your life is drastically different. That you have this access. You already have access. That you're now safe. I don't know where we got to a point, I'm trying to find my words. I don't know where we got to a point where we believe that a piece of paper, a declaration, a resolution changes my life in any meaningful way. So I didn't understand why it even needed to be brought up. I have a belief that, some of the individuals involved, and they said it out loud, it was part of a school project. I don't know what scope, I haven't talked to them, but some of them said, hey, I showed up for school credit. So I don't know. It was interesting to watch from a distance. Is it something that we would consider? Once again, it isn't. It's an artificial feeling. It's a piece of paper that gives me an artificial feeling for a day, and it changes nothing substantially in somebody's life. Not to mention that the city had already passed, I think a couple years ago, that they're an all-inclusive city, specifically to get the redesignation for the All-American City, the award that's on the flood wall. So they'd already passed a similar resolution. I think probably where this one went a little too far is when you start looking at certain House bills that affect gender-affirming care for minors and things like that. And I think that's why you saw the upswelling of opposition. But I guess to the people that are upset that it didn't go through, I don't know. I guess I would encourage them to stay involved in the process, but to truly understand where the process belongs. If you're trying to advocate for something specifically in your life, understand who wrote that law and then who you need to talk to. And I would say that to all of our citizens. So, the city council can try to pass something. It wouldn't have changed anything. And that's, so I feel like, unfortunately, we had a lot of divide happen in this community and a lot of hatred both ways, quite frankly, that was unjustifiably created for what? I mean, that's my nuanced approach on it. I mean, I can have an opinion of whether or not I agreed with the resolution or not. I think that's immaterial. It didn't do anything. I mean, I think at one point we were asked to pass a sanctuary bill for guns. What was that? That was early on when I came in office. Somebody was wanting us to pass a resolution that the county was a sanctuary county for gun owners. It wouldn't have done anything. It wouldn't have given anybody a right to behave differently with a gun. So once again, it's that type of activity in politics that I struggle with, frankly. And if you are going to be involved in the process, understand, if you have an issue with a certain House bill, then that's your representatives, that's your senators. If you have a certain issue with health care and access to health care, that's, once again, that's above the local level, and it could be involved even in certain agencies. But probably figuring that out a little more so than just hoping for a resolution that once it's passed, your life's literally the same the second after. Other than you get a brief feeling of joy that something passed. And I'm not just saying this resolution, I'm saying in general. So I don't know. My stance is drastically nuanced on it, and I would encourage, and it was great to see young people engaged. But of the folks that are encouraging the young people to be engaged, give them the education, the tools, and point them in the right direction of where to be engaged is probably just as critical as what they're trying to say for both sides of the aisle, however you want to look at that. So that's my 2 cents on it. I don't know what else to say on that one.
No, that's good. I agree with him. I just say this, is that, and speaking with a couple of members of council, I didn't talk to all of them, but just a couple, it came up, and the comment that was made was, we really need to focus on fixing so many things that are wrong with this city, and they just didn't see that this was where they needed to really focus, and they really needed to focus on infrastructure and roads. Yeah, get the roads fixed. Things like that, things that they can control, because unfortunately it's very hard to legislate or regulate human behavior. It really is. So I hope everybody can agree to disagree. It's hard. In some cases, I understand that. And I think that focusing on our major issues, I mean, the fallout from the opioid epidemic, my gosh, I mean, the number of lives that we've lost, we continue to lose. Our infrastructure, our crumbling infrastructure in some cases. I know that they're addressing all these issues, and I really hope that they continue to do that. I'm glad that we haven't had a 5-hour marathon meeting.
If it happens, it happens.
It happens, it happens.
Ours would be different though, because we actually do
just
question and answer.
Yeah, it's a different structure for sure. But but I am heartened by the process, that people came, they said their piece, they were given the time to do that, and that is what people should be able to do in a constitutional republic. So it's definitely important for people to be able to do that, and hopefully this chapter in history, we move on and we do our best. So we'll see what happens in the future, but I think there's some healing that needs to be done there. So we'll see. All right. Do you have a second question?
I do.
We got to follow up over here too, but go ahead.
Sorry.
Let's go on. Yeah.
Okay. Scioto County Daily News off the agenda. It says, what is the status of the new SOPA board? Have they started having regular meetings?
Yeah.
In the past, we were told that important bond issues were nearly catastrophic without the board being able to access certain files. Would you say that there are no roadblocks ahead for the county due to the SOPA issues?
No, there's no roadblocks for the county head to do the SOPA issues. I mean, we have a board, they're functioning, they have access to all their files now, all their bank accounts. They're now over back at the Fifth and Court building, conducting meetings. So, are they going to be the economic engine that the previous iteration was? Probably not, but they're still doing their bonding. They're still doing their, the leases and the different payments that they have and the business that's moving through there. But no barriers that we see at this point. I'm guessing that's Mark that's asking the question, so thanks for the question, Mark. All right, nothing else online? Scott's back to the podium.
Thank you again, and I agree, Commissioner Powell. I appreciate the opportunity to get up here and have a little bit of a back and forth. So you were talking about resolutions and how ultimately they don't really change anything. Do you feel that same way about resolutions that this body has passed?
So once again, I want to be clarified there. So yeah, we can address and send our resolutions up, further up, and express our opinion on something.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong on that.
And that was what
I think a lot of the language there, that's not how I read it, Scott. I read through it. It didn't sound like it was going anywhere other than the city just proclaiming something, and then it just kind of died on
But
the
isn't
table.
that what this body does as well?
No, we pass resolutions that go places. The three of us are agreeing on whatever our belief is, and it's going. I mean, we just did it today for letters of support to go to different representatives and different folks at the federal level. So I didn't see the next step of whatever they were trying to do at the city to go anywhere, and it changed,
Well,
2-3 times?
Yeah, I did with community input. I covered the whole
Great.
thing.
Yeah.
It seemed,
Can I comment on the question?
Sure.
well, I'd like to finish if that's okay.
You're fine.
Go right ahead.
Uh,
It's fine.
It seemed, I guess I got to push back on what I think is kind of a mischaracterization of what supporters wanted. I think they wanted the city's support because resolutions are symbolic, right?
Yeah.
And it seemed that they wanted the city's support in response to some legislation passed by the Ohio legislature, which is not uncommon. Cities,
Look,
cities
and you were in the room and
involved
covering it, talking to it, so you might have a
Yeah.
different perspective. That's from a distance. That's not how I view that, Scott. I know the first iteration had something in there about the one of the House bills. I don't think the second iteration had anything to do with legislation specific. So I don't know. Once again, it's and I don't. Some of the speakers, because I tried to watch it on and off. Some of the speakers, it wasn't like, hey, we want you to do X. It's like, I want you to pass this so I feel safe. And I guess that was my concern, is that there were people in that room that believed that this resolution does that, and frankly, it didn't. So yeah, that's fine.
I would say just general understanding, and this isn't anybody's fault. I mean, we all take government in school, and what we retain is, who knows. But the thing about the county commissioners and commissioners, all county commissioners, is we are, and I still remember the late great Mike Crabtree saying this, we are creatures of statute. If
Yeah.
you're old enough to remember, that's what he always said. And we don't pass laws. We don't legislate. We can do resolutions that say we resolve to do X. okay? But we can't pass law. So in other words, all we can do is enforce, apply the Ohio Revised Code. That's our jobs. We are an extension of state government, is what county government is. Now, Portsmouth is what is called a home rule community. Okay, a lot of people don't know what that means. Well, that means that they can interpret the Ohio Revised Code the way they want to, but they can't break the law. They can't change the law, but they can pass legislation. In this case, in Portsmouth, it's called an ordinance. Okay, that says, as for us, as for me and my house, we're going to do X. Okay, and sometimes they choose to do that. There's been several rules as far as the Ohio Revised Code where Portsmouth will change the rules. I'll give you a great example, and it's election law. Election law says that you certify elections a certain way. The people that win in the primary move on to the general. Well, Portsmouth took it a step further. There are limitations on what are called write-ins, right? I mean, there's a date that you can only go in the Ohio Revised Code in order to be on the ballot. There's a date that you have to turn in your interest, your petition saying I'm running. Well, Portsmouth did an ordinance that, well, we're going to add a line to every item that's up for election, and you can do write-in, and there's no time limit. Okay, so that's a change. That's just the only example that came to my head. Okay, so they can do that, and as long as it doesn't impede the intent of the law. In other words, Portsmouth's saying, look, as for us, our elections are going to be a little bit more open. We're going to allow anybody to run. You can write in Dr. Seuss if you want to for an office. Don't know why you would, but you can. And I would say that that's probably happened, okay? But that is their right to do that, as long as they don't change the letter of the law to where it is totally contrary to the law.
Right, but this was a resolution they were trying to
It was, but I'll tell you what sometimes happens, Scott, is the resolutions lead to legislation that you can resolve and say, this is how we feel about this, and then the next step is someone says, okay, if we feel this way, why don't we legislate this way? Well, in that case, it would have ran afoul of the state law, and hence, that's where we're at. People don't agree with the laws that they've passed here recently, and again, the best way to fight those or to push back against those is to deal with your legislators, the ones who actually pass the law. Our state representative, our state senator, to talk to them and reason with them and petition them, and that's where that all begins. But that's a lot of times people want us to do things that we cannot do. We get people calling and saying, well, you need to do this with this office holder. You need to do this with that office holder.
Nope.
We can't. That's not within our purview.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop them from asking and getting mad because we don't, but it's just not within our purview.
Sure.
And trust me, there's times we'd love to. And then there's other times we'd we'd rather not. But I think that's the only way I can really describe
Sure,
that.
I appreciate
So,
it,
yeah.
Mr. Davis.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. And thanks for letting me clarify. Nothing else?
Katie, you're doing a great job.
Fantastic.
Katie Sanford,
Week 2 in a row.
Deputy Clerk.
Commissioner Davis, do you have any parting words?
No, I do not.
I don't either. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Powell.
Hi. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great
Get
weekend.
out and enjoy the weather. Oh, it's.
Please. Please do.
I looked at the weather